Adolescent mental health and wellbeing have been growing in prominence over the recent decades. And over the past few years, I too have been thinking deeply about this and particularly engaging with the research base, which has actually changed my thinking somewhat. So we all want our children to thrive, to be happy and to feel supported. And if you ask about wellbeing provision in many educational contexts, they'll refer you to things like the mental health awareness programs that they deliver, the periodic mood surveys they might be administering, the counselling service, and so on. And it's good to be able to demonstrate very visibly your commitment to mental health and wellbeing. And these are specifically very good things to be able to do. But there are some issues. Firstly, a lot of these measures are about responding once a child is already in distress. It's really important to have good counselling. We have an excellent counselling service here at Winchester. And no one's going to argue about things that you have in place to deal with a child in the middle of a panic attack. But we all recognise that prevention is even better. And when it comes to prevention, good intentions are not enough. You have to pay attention to what works, and when you look around, we see many errors being made. For instance, one has to be careful about mental health awareness programs. It's easy to assume it's a case of the more information the better, that any campaign is going to protect and destigmatise and benefit everyone. But it turns out that the research tells us something different, that these kinds of awareness campaigns, universally administered, can backfire and can inadvertently trigger what's called iatrogenic illness. That is, it's not just flushing out cases of mental illness that might otherwise have gone under the radar, but can actually trigger mental illness. This is confounding, and it could be profoundly discouraging, except we have a lot of good research about what does work. And this is what we've been working on recently with Dr. Jack Andrews, who is a research fellow at the University of Oxford in developmental science and mental health. At the beginning of term, Don's heard from Dr. Andrews, who outlined what many decades of research have told us are the crucial underpinnings of a child's mental health and well-being: autonomy, competence, and relatedness. Autonomy, that sense of having agency, that your decisions count and you have ownership over your behaviour. That has particular relevance to us as a full boarding school because we have an environment which allows us to cultivate that particularly well. So Winchester has always been distinctive for the freedoms it provides. There's the freedom to learn and to pursue your particular passionate interests. We're fortunate to have teachers who can support that, who can take them in any direction and up to any level that they want to pursue. We've never shied away from engaging with difficult ideas and debates. There's a saying, we're here to educate young people to make them fit to explore the world of ideas. We're not here to make ideas fit for young people. They have the freedom to choose. There's an incredible array of activities, clubs and societies, drama and sport and music and so on. And they get to shape a program which appeals to them and also take responsibility for making it work. We don't have a uniform, so we have a dress code and there are parameters. It's not that there are no limits, but within that they get to make their own decisions and express themselves. Competency is something we all acknowledge children love. They love that sense of achievement that they get when they've mastered something new. And that's therefore at the core of what we do here at Winchester. So we push them hard and they know it, right? And that's not just about the teachers setting high standards. Actually, they look around and they see what their peers are capable of, and that sets a standard to which they also want to aspire. So they might be getting that in the classroom, or maybe it's because of their excellent singing, or it might be their involvement with CCF or their athletic achievements. The important thing is that they start to realise that despite any frustrations or difficulties they encounter, they realise what they're truly capable of. And it's very important not to make things too easy so that they can really take pride in it. They'll see through it in a second if you give out praise too readily. Now, next term, I'll be sharing with you some more information about a study skills program that we'll be introducing for some of the pupils. And that's going to be introducing them to really well-researched practices and how to embed it in their studies in different subjects. And of course, study skills are about supporting the quality of their learning, but it's also there because it has this great knock-on effect for their well-being. It gives them guidance about what to do when you don't know what to do. And that's a key life skill and one that will help them feel in control and confident, which then in turn supports their well-being. Relatedness is really important to developing the sense of community here. So feeling connected to your peer group, to the adults at school and also at home. House pride, these are essential elements of how we support belonging and relatedness at school. And that's obviously further encouraged by the house environment, house pride, and simply having fun together. So families are bound closely because they spend time together and they make memories. And in the same way, the moments where children have fun together with their peers, that helps them to build their sense of connection. And feeling connected to your peers is a particularly important element of adolescent development at a time when they're hardwired to move beyond the boundaries of family and start exploring the wider world. Coming back to the original point, you can see that the things that we do to support pupils' well-being are actually woven into the fabric of the life of the school. It's just part of daily life. The very best things we do are not standalone programs and campaigns or reactive therapeutic responses. And if I'm honest, that's actually a bit of a harder sell than some of the more conventional approaches that you see in educational settings. There's an irony here that the approaches which are at least superficially most appealing tend to be less effective, or even, at worst, can actively cause harm to young people. And the less obvious things we do, the ones that you'd miss if you weren't paying attention, are actually the most effective. So developing true autonomy and competence and relatedness is what is going to set your children up to withstand the knocks and bruises of daily life and help them come through the inevitable difficult and stressful periods a bit stronger, a bit wiser and more resilient, more confident, and ultimately happier.